10, 11, 12-year-old was coming into my cage experiencing degenerative conditions. This was 10 years ago, guys. Wow. Degenerative conditions that I was working on in the 50, 60, 70-year-old. And that's when I started, it clicked. I'm like, something's not right. And it was all sports, not just baseball. So I backed out, went back to school, put this all together. Sadly, we've evolved, or devolved, I should say, 10 years later, where I said to you guys, I wish the arm was all we had to worry about. Fast forward to today, it is radically worse. Radically worse, exponentially worse, and we're on the cusp of epidemics that are not going to slow anytime soon. Unfortunately, the dam's overflowing. So we've got three causes that are compounding. The American de-evolution lifestyle. Kids are overfed, malnourished, and improperly hydrated. They're not going outside playing, they're sitting in front of screens, not only leaving them less active and with poor posture, but it's lowering their immune system and leaving them neuromotorly immature. They're degenerative joint problems. There's torn ligaments, tendon damage, disc problems. Now there's even mental health coming from the need to perform. They're in a dominant sympathetic fight or flight state, which does the reciprocal of immune. So they're in an immune deplete state. Outside baseball, outside football, they can't heal from the just generals of childhood. So what I provide is a 4-part solution, and it's for all ages, all sports, even if your kid isn't in a sport at all. This is the way to go about it, and it's made it very simple. Regardless of what sports choose to do or how sports change at the highest level, we still develop, as human athletes, a very similar formula from the ground up in a pyramid fashion. There's got to be fundamentals and foundation coming up to the top. This is a cultural, national topic of interest, finally a solution where it belongs in the parents' hands. And that's all you can hope to do. Put yourself in the best position possible to adapt to whatever the demand is. And if the demand goes up, your preparation has to exceed that.
Basketball. Now it's concussions in football. Now it's concussions in girls soccer. This is just going to keep bleeding into all sports, where it's not necessarily what's going on with girls per se, but what exactly is going on with the participants. And they're just not prepared to handle anything in sports, let alone some of the specialization that we're seeing, and their bodies are just giving up.
What do you mean they're not prepared to handle it?
So if you think about it, the first 9 years of their life, they're supposed to be exploring outside and playing freely for 4 to 6 hours a day. They're supposed to be unorganized sports participation. They're supposed to be sampling sports. Now they're stuck behind phones. They're sitting behind screens all day. The only outlet for activity is organized sports. So they don't have the developmental processes. They don't have attention, balance, coordination to handle sitting in a chair in school. People are sitting in chairs in school and falling out of chairs because they don't have core stability. So we've just devolved in.
Dr. Tommy John is our guest, son of Tommy John, Major League pitcher, who is our panelist today. The book is Minimize Injury, Maximize Performance, a Sports Parent's Survival Guide. That's catchy. That sounds like you can apply that immediately. Tommy, It's good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the show. Give me the number one thing. I'm sure you do seminars, talks to parents, and parents who have the right thing in mind. I want my kid to be good and be able to flourish in some way. What's the number one thing you say to, hey, this is what you got to do to survive?
So here's what I tell them is that there's no doctor, there's no coach, there's no therapist, there's no facility, wearable technology. There's nothing that's going to save your kid. From womb to 13 or 14 is the most important time in any athlete's life, whether they play sport or not. What happens from 0 to 13 years old is the foundation that everything else is built upon, that we're going to talk about later, that you've already talked about now, that it's in their hands. The solution is in their hands. It's in the homes. We can't expect to be saved. It's on you and the decisions you're making. With that responsibility comes amazing power.
Okay.